Okay, other people who talk about this subject, they have some snazzy web page and all this stuff, right? But what I'm telling you is the way to block the sun, okay? And it is to figure out how many space stations are needed from 400 kilometers away in order to equal the size that the moon did when it blocked the sun. And so the moon is 385,000 kilometers away and it's 3,500 kilometers wide. So I'm saying if it was 38,000 kilometers and 400, 500 kilometers wide, that or it would have to be 350 kilometers wide, then the moon would. And I'm saying if it was 3,850 kilometers away, then it would be 30.5 kilometers or 38.5 kilometers, okay, wide that it would have to be to block the sun. And I'm saying that if it was 385 kilometers away, then it would have to be 3.5 kilometers wide to or 3.85 kilometers wide to block, or 3.5 kilometers wide to block the sun. Now, I could be wrong. Everybody's saying that my figures are off because the space station is 100 meters by 50 meters. And they say that when the space station passes in front of the sun, there is absolutely no recognition of the space station based on the size of the sun. Therefore, the space station would have to be a different size in order for it to be able to block the sun. I'm not entirely sure what the size would be. So I'm assuming that 3.5 kilometers is the wrong size. But, I mean, from my assumption, okay, if the moon is 385,000 kilometers away and it is 3,500 kilometers wide, then the closer it comes to the planet is the smaller it would have to be in order for it to block the sun, because I would assume that every time it goes further away, it gets smaller. And then every time it comes closer to the planet, it's getting bigger. And therefore, if it got bigger, it would block more of the sun. This is the assumption I'm saying, than if it was going further away. And somebody's trying to interfere with my video. Hold on one sec. Okay, I just had to stop it. But then, okay, so it's coming closer to the planet, it would be getting smaller. But I do not know what size it would need to be. All of my assumptions, I'm picking out of the air of a logical assessment. But I'm believing that what I'm saying is wrong about the physical size they would need to be. But people are talking about using geoengineering to block the sun. But if you spray anything in the solar system, okay, in all likelihood, it is going to come back to the planet Earth, okay? And but I've heard different assessments. I've heard that there are satellites that are orbiting the planet, and somehow they're staying where they are, and they are not coming back to the planet Earth. But okay, I believe that no matter what happens, and I believe this, right, that if you use geoengineering, you spray an aerosol can. For one thing, I do not believe you have enough aerosol to be able to drop the planet sufficiently. And for a second, I believe that once this aerosol has gone beyond its lifespan, that you are going to have this stuff everywhere, and it's just going to destroy everything, and you are not going to be able to get rid of it, and it is going to be causing constant problems. But I believe that if you were to build a space station, or 1,000 space stations, or however many space stations it requires, and put a sunblock on the space station, that the space station would block the sun. And if there was any problems, we could just take the space station out, and then we would no longer have the sun blocker there. Whereas if you use aerosol, once you've done this geoengineering that they're talking about, once you've done it, you're not going to be able to stop it from happening. And but one reason why this problem is not going to go away, okay, and this is one of the main reasons why we should be discussing put a sun block to block the sun. And I believe that this putting it on a space station or 1,000 space station sun blockers is going to be the way that we should do this, is because right now people are using salt water, okay, and they're using condensation, and they're using lasers, and they're using fog to get fresh water. And every time you do this, that product of the steam that is in the air and salt water, which is creating steam in the air, is going to the top of a mountain, which changes into ice, and then this ice turns into fresh water, and all of our water is coming from ice. And if you use salt water, if you use condensation, if you use fog, if you use lasers, you are creating global warming. You are taking the steam that is out of the air that is supposed to go to the top of a mountain and turn into ice, and then the ice turns into fresh water, which is the thing that's coming out of our lakes. All of our lakes are because of ice. Okay, this is where this water is coming from, and all the groundwater is coming because of ice. And when you have removed this, there is going to be a severe water problem, which is about to happen. The way that you are supposed to make water is by making a mountain with snow on top of it, and then the snow turns into fresh water, which is the thing that we are drinking. All of these lakes that you see are because of snow. And when these glaciers have melted, the water in the lake is going to evaporate, because all of that lake water that you see is because of snow. And all the fresh water that you see is because of snow. Water is not coming because of salt water, okay? And every time you take salt water away, one more ice cap melts, okay? And this is why you need to drop the planet's temperature, because when this snow is gone, there is going to be the worst drought that you have ever seen, ever. That is, everyone's going to die, okay? Everything's going to die. Things are already on the brink of death because of this heat wave stuff. So, but what I am saying is that we should put sunblocks in outer space to drop the temperature of this planet so that we can make more ice caps and we get more fresh water this way, because our water comes from ice. It does not come from salt water. It does not come from fog. It does not come from a laser splitting, increasing temperature to make a cloud form. It's not coming from cloud seeding. Okay, our water is coming from glaciers. This is where our water is coming from. Now, if we drop the planet's temperature, we can make more glaciers. But I have doubts that people are going to. I believe that people are on a psychopathic mission. I believe that there is a cult that is in control of this country who said, I'm going to burn these people to death to symbolize the message of my cult. I believe that this really is happening, okay? And I really believe that they are the ones who are causing global warming so that they could burn us to death. And I believe that the Hitler message of burning Jews came from this cult who said, I burn people because this is my religious belief. And I believe that there is a cult who is symbolizing this message, okay? But what I am saying is that if we do not drop the temperature, okay, all the water is going to evaporate. And these people putting plants in the desert, okay, is increasing this problem, because you cannot put a plant in the desert, okay? You are taking the water that was meant for land where you were supposed to grow it, and you are putting it in land where you cannot grow it. And this is increasing the polar caps, the ice caps, and the glaciers melting. But what I am telling you is we should put a sun blocker in front of the sun. The UK said that we need this. Other countries have said that they're suffering from heat waves like crazy. If we use our energy, we figure out how many space stations we need in order to block the sun, we can put space stations with sun blockers, and they will go in front of the sun 16 times a day, and it will drop the temperature of the planet. I'm sure we could drop the temperature. I'm sure we could put a 10% sun blocker, and it will have enormous effects on the temperature of the planet. We need to drop the temperature of the planet. And blocking the sun is the best answer. If you use the space station and you put sun blockers on this thing, and it goes in front of the sun 16 times a day and it drops the temperature. Geoengineering is not going to work. This is going to put these chemicals on the ground, and they're going to be there forever, and we are never going to be able to get rid of them. The space station, at least we can increase or decrease them in size. Just have to wait for these bites. What I'm saying is, if we put a sun blocker on the space station, we figure out how many space stations we need to block the sun, we can drop the planet's temperature. I am confident this is the only way to go. I am 100%. We should be talking about this every single day. When this hits the very tipping point, there will be mass deaths everywhere, and we will not be able to fix this problem. So we should be talking about this now. We should be talking about this every day. We should say we are going to put up these sun blockers. We are going to drop the planet's temperature. And if there's too many, it's dropping too fast, we're going to move a couple so that it's at the exact point that we need, so that we are changing the temperature to what we need. We are not going to be able to survive under the circumstances that we are living under right now. We need to address this.